Hi, everybody. I'm Jen Madrone, and I'm back today because I want to talk a little bit about egoic death and what it is. It can be a hard thing to define, and actually, I've found that there's no one definition for what ego death is, just like there's not really one definition for ego. It depends on the context that you're looking at. Um, so, egoic death can be a hard thing to define, and there's a lot of limiting or false beliefs about what it is. And so that's why I wanted to talk a little bit about it today. And what I see is being the biggest limiting belief around ego death is that it's a one or done, one and done sort of experience. Like it happens once, you get, you know, open wide, your whole ego drops away, and you're left in this state of bliss and total enlightenment. And, in that sort of definition, it also goes to say that very few people actually experience it. It's usually just something for Jesus or Buddha or ascended masters. Um, but actually, it's not a one or done sort of process. Rarely that happens spontaneously, very rarely. And when it does, it definitely doesn't leave a blissful, enlightened state. It is still very difficult and disruptive. But what I really like, I love Joseph Campbell's definition of ego death. And he says that ego death is a phase of surrender and self discovery. And let me see if I get those words right. Self surrender and transition. Actually, that's better. Um, because it really is more of a process than an experience. So we have these ego death experiences, and then there's a process that goes with it. And ego death experiences can also be defined and sometimes intertwined with awakening experiences. And the difference that I see is that awakening experiences are a more broad term for things that happen. And egoic death, it points more to the result that those experiences bring and of what happens and the process that follows after the awakening experiences. And so that's why this fly is driving me crazy. I'm sorry. So I'm going to slow down. Hi, Haley and Jose, Kelly and Sarah. Thanks for being here. I'm going to take a deep breath and hope the fly doesn't come back and bug me. And so, in talking about these egoic death experiences and realizing that it is a process, that it starts with an experience often, and these experiences can be very dramatic, they can be very intense, they can come after a time of meditation and maybe doing certain spiritual practices. Those things might provoke an egoic death sort of experience. They can come when working with sacred plants and having experiences like that. And sometimes they can be very subtle. And sometimes, often, and I'm seeing that in this group quite a bit, that people who don't have a spiritual background, have not been seeking out answers, all of a sudden have these intense experiences of awakening, and they're left to deal with the process of egoic death. And so what happens is that the ego is falling away in chunks, in pieces. And we often have many of these experiences throughout our awakening process, throughout our life. And so, little chunks are coming off at a time. And they can be blissful experiences, or they can be very painful experiences that literally make you feel like you're dead. There's a huge, huge variety. And that, again, is another, limiting belief that it only looks a certain way, because it's just not true. It looks very different for each person. And so what I want to address in this group and And really my intention for being here is to help and support and teach how to move through this process, and give tools so that we can really move a little more gracefully from this place of attachment to our ego and identity into a place where we can really see our true essence and live that true essence from a place of deep love and expansion, and not from fear. Because these egoic death experiences can really produce a lot of fear. And the anxiety and so many of the symptoms that we see after these experiences are because of fear. The fear of the unknown, um, fear that we're losing everything. It can often be fear that we are actually dying, because that's what it feels like. And it can be extremely painful, which a lot of you know and have experienced, and maybe why you're here. And for me, it was very painful, and it took some time to understand. And so I really enjoy helping people go through that process. And so, and just starting the conversation of what it is we're experiencing. That when these things happen, we're not crazy, we're not going insane, we're not having a nervous breakdown. It is a part of this process that is happening more and more often on the planet. And as I see and hear it happening more in my private practice in the past couple of years, I've had many more people coming in and talking about these sorts of experiences, and having the awakening experiences, and then dealing with the aftermath of it. And so it's very exciting to me that this is happening. This means that our planet is waking up, and it brings me a lot of hope and joy to see that. So my job and what I love to do is help people through that process. So if you are having difficulties understanding the egoic death experience and how that process works for you and how you can move through it more gracefully, please contact me, personal message me, and we can talk and see if the services I offer are good for you. And if you want to share some of your egoic death experiences in the group, please do that, and we can start a conversation about it. And perhaps in the next couple of videos, I'll share some of my experiences too. So if you have any questions, just ask, and just hope you guys have a great day, and sending massive love to you all. I'll see you in the Facebook group.